Tommy, I think that it's time to talk a little bit of baseball.
Maybe? I don't know.
I'd say yes, it's time to talk a little bit of baseball. We've got, as always, game balls, Dave's dingers, and insight and analysis about the games ahead this week. Guys, we are into the sort of the second round of tournament play. Lions tournament's coming up on us. We've just finished some other classics. We're into spring break where now teams are playing a bunch of games. So the slim pickings are over, and we now have a pretty good sample size as to what baseball looks like here in San Diego County. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So can we just start with the fact that there's been a little bit more of a power surge this year than last year? It's not, oh, let's pray that Calvin Mitchell hits 2 or 3 so we can talk about something. Dave Dingers are a real segment this year. Every week, Dave likes to talk about the long ball. Tommy likes to talk about just whoever has the highest numbers, if it's steals, if it's strikeouts, if it's whatever. I like shutouts. So collectively, we make one good, reasonable baseball fan, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
Dave, what do you say we start with Dave's dingers for the week? Please tell me you got Joey McGreasy on.
Yes, this kid hit a tank against his former team. So Joey McGreasy, first Dave's dinger, hit his 3rd home run against RB. They beat him in a landslide. Very impressive game for Torrey Pines. When we do our top 10, you're going to see them shifting up a little bit for me. I got Ty Staterstrom, San Diego State commit, went grand slam, grand salami. Going to be first of many for him this year. Jesse Garcia, who's also going to be featured as one of my game ball guys. He's leading Grossmont, and he's got 2 so far this year. They beat Eastlake. Impressive win for those guys.
Tied Eastlake.
And Nate Nankill, Bonita Vista, hit his first home run of his career.
There you go.
First of many. Cal State Fullerton commit. Noah Kagan, RB, hit his first home run of the year. We will be hearing him a lot. I think he will be the guy that will take Calvin Mitchell's place this year on RB, kind of really hitting the long ball for them a lot this year. And last few, Derek Diamond, Ramona, mashing, got 2 so far. And last guy, Zach Thurman, Sage Creek, hit his first dinger of the year. Congrats, man.
There you go. You want to get through the rest of your game balls while we got you?
Yeah, let's do it. Game balls, LJ beat Steel Canyon in a 6-1 victory. I'll give a game ball to Blaze Gimbry, went 2 for 4. Garrett Ostrander, Del Norte, 3 for 4 against Tri-City in a 9-1 victory. Very good job. And Cade Logan, I'll give a pitching game ball out this week. Complete game victory, 10-4 win against Valley Center. Impressive. He's actually pitching and catching this year, so
that's brutal on the arm and the knees.
Doing a lot this year for them, so best of luck to you. Staying healthy.
So we switch over now from home runs and numbers like that to just big numbers, steals, strikeouts. Tommy, what do you got for us on game balls?
First, I've got a guy with first of all, what's the most exciting play in baseball?
When I get to go in. No,
the triple. Yes, the triple. So Wyatt, grown man from Mount Empire, has 4 triples already this season, so I thought I'd give him a little shout out. Going back to another Del Norte kid, it is senior James Adamson, who got on base 10 of 11 plate appearances last week in games versus Orange Glen, Tri-City Christian, and Foothills Christian. So kid was basically on base the whole entire game, so good for him. Kevin Lyons from Westview had a 13 strikeout performance last week. Sorry to steal some pitchers. Zach Rittmeyer, Tri-City Christian, 0 ERA through 2 starts, 20 strikeouts. Impressive performances out of him. And he's 5'3", he's 150 pounds, but don't mess with him. His name is Ari Martin. He threw a good old-fashioned 1 unearned run no-hitter last week against El Cajon Valley.
Interesting to see Reitmeyer. He's a quarterback by trade, so seeing somebody like that.
And always he plays basketball.
Yeah, always fun seeing that, the arm angle translates over to something else. I'll give out my game balls. First one to Escondido Charter for a 4-3 win over Tri-City Christian. That's the only one that I have where it's both teams scored. The rest are all collective team shutouts. SFC beating Escondido 2-0 to hand Escondido their first loss of the season. So that's kind of a co-game ball. Escondido off to a hot start. SFC, 2-0 win is not a dominant. That's you play that game 5 times. It goes 3-1, 2 to the other. So always interesting to see when you see some early season signs of like, ooh, that could be a relevant matchup coming up later. Parker 2-0 over Point Loma. We talked about Parker off and on the last couple of years being a team that is always in the mix. They always have really, really good baseball.
They're 6-1.
So they're 6-1. They're closing in on a top 10 type of vibe. Really going to be interesting to see what they can do this year. Then finally, Sage Creek 1-0 over Mission Hills. Does not get any more hair on your chinny chin chin closer than a 1-0 win. Sage Creek is another interesting one where collectively as a school, I would say that Sage Creek is my biggest, weirdest anomaly in the county because they're only in their 5th year. They're not a classical powerhouse, but they are winning in everything. They're winning in big games across the board, whoever they're playing. So definitely don't be caught sleeping on them. Guys, time for top 10. Tommy,
Yes, sir.
we started with Dave for last one, so let's start with you for this one.
All right, you mentioned Parker closing in on the top 10.
Yeah, okay.
They are officially in our top 10 right now at number 10. Number 9, Grossmont, a couple impressive tie and an impressive win so far for them. Number 8, Rancho Bernardo. 7 is Poway. 6, Ramona. 5 is Torrey Pines. 4, La Casa Canyon. 3, Helix. 2, Cathedral Catholic, which means number 1 is Eastlake.
Dave?
Wow, this top 10 is really starting to shape up for me because we're seeing teams with at least a half dozen games under their belt. So I'm going to tag some records for these teams so everyone that's watching that doesn't really get a chance to follow these guys know what's going on. Parker 6-1, top 10. They're going to go number 10 for me. Ramona, number 9. They're 6-2. Grossmont, they're 4-1-1. They're going to go number 8 for me. Poway is now 5-1.
You skipped RB.
RB is now 4-2.
Just so you guys know, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, the numbers
5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12.
Okay, so I'm doing my best here. So RB is 7, Poway 6. They're 5-1. Eastlake 4-1-1. I got them all the way down at number 5 for me. Helix 5-1. LCC, the only undefeated team in the top 10 right now, 5-0. We'll see what happens this week. Torrey Pines, I got them at number 2, 5-1. They are hot right now, playing with a lot of emotion. If you guys got a chance to see their game against RB, they were on fire. And number 1, I'm going to stay with Cathedral. They're 5-1 still.
I like having a huge split of difference because it seems like you kind of weave in and out between the consensus, and that's just how dynamic it is. Baseball is not. It is its own. Saying something like extra unique is a complete oxymoron, but football, it's easy to say that team is huge, that team is small. There is very little wiggle room to say that someone like a Tri-City Christian will ever upset a Helix. But baseball is just one that Grossmont completely has Eastlake's number this year. But if Grossmont doesn't get the right matchups in the playoffs, that might be completely irrelevant. It's just so many gives and takes on a daily basis that we'll probably have identical top 10s 3 weeks. We'll probably have completely different top 10s 3 weeks. And we'll have a couple teams here and there, like an Otay Ranch that'll sneak in. It's just so much fun trying to sift through all this and really figure out who's the
And
best.
sometimes we'll accidentally skip number 7 and have it go all the way to 12.
At least you didn't do 10A and 10B. You and Aaron have a huge issue with, I couldn't decide, so I made 10A and 10B. Speaking of couldn't decide, well, we can't decide what the best game is this week because there's always great games. So let's talk about a couple of different games. This is a 4-pack of games coming up this Friday. Definitely want to go check them out. Guys, let's not even do picks right now because it's still too early and we don't know for sure who's going to be pitching on what day. But let's just give some, what's your take from this matchup? What are you looking for? Who do you feel has a little bit better leg up? First one, Rancho Bernardo at La Jolla Country Day. Didn't say this was going to be easy. Didn't say this was going to be lopsided. Didn't say this was going to be starting with the low-hanging fruit. This is a big matchup already early in the season. And as the resident Torrey alum, we will have you go first.
Yeah, first, I think we need to do an opposite rain dance for all these games on Friday because it is in the forecast. So I don't know if you know how to do the opposite of rain dance, but we need to do that. So we got to get that underway.
We got to get these games in.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one for Country Day, I think, because they had a game yesterday against Poway. They're going to play Carlsbad, I believe, right now, and then they're going to have this game late in the week. So these late week games are tough for the smaller schools because they don't have as many pitchers. They're going to have to scramble a little bit. They still definitely do have a chance in this. They've got some great bats on that lineup, but it depends how much, RB's going to have to use their arms early on in the week too because Country Day is going to have to burn through a lot of them. So we'll see what happens in this one.
A pitcher I've been very impressed with for RB this year, Nick Siemens. Got a lot of quality innings out of him so far. They got Mason Pelio. I'm thinking RB is just a little too strong at this point in the season to kind of give up a game with the pitching they have right now.
I'm glad you bring up pitching. It seems that every year Country Day has that one ace. I want to see the rest of the staff step up in this one. I want to see the role players that they have getting a little bit less innings step up and, as you said, take a little bit of the weight because of they've played a couple of games right in the span. And that's so tough for a baseball team to just be like, hey, look, we know in the end when this comes down to like a 4-game postseason type format, we're fine. But to hit it on cruise control and be like, we got to play 30 games this year, it can be absolutely draining. Another pair of teams that, like I said, it wasn't going to be easy. San Marcos, defending D2 champs. They're going to be at Torrey Pines. Again, all of these games we're talking about are on this coming Friday, pending the rain. But let's just assume that I'll pick up a baseball bat and the rain will completely stop because things seem to dry out when I try to hit. Guys, this is a completely different San Marcos than last year, but it is still very offensively heavy. Torrey, we just talked about McGreasy and the bombs. So is this one going to be just look for the high numbers, or does somebody somehow wind up getting some pitching in here?
This is going to be a tough game. I mean, I think it's probably the biggest game of the year for San Marcos. They can't afford to lose many more games and still be considered for top 10. Torrey Pines on a roll right now. They got nothing to lose. If they lose this game, they're still basically going to be in the top 10. San Marcos lost a tough game to UC this year. This is going to be a grind for both teams. And like I said, if San Marcos comes out on the losing end here, this can probably be very detrimental to their season.
Tommy?
Yeah, I mean, Torrey Pines is really strong. I mean, we can go through all the names again, which we pretty much every time we do Dave Zingers or the pitching segment, we're mentioning one of them. San Marcos, tough schedule early on. I think they'll pick it up as the season goes on, but it's going to be tough early on in the season.
I think that San Marcos is, for me, the big case study. There's always one every year where you look at it and you go, oof. They bit off a huge testing themselves type schedule. They 2 years ago were I want to say either 3 or 4. Last year D2. They have been continuously winning, but sometimes that comes with the lack of opportunities to really play the big boys. And now Dufek has got them in a position where year in and year out, you're going to see San Marcos sticking their hat in the ring, and they have to not rely on that one guy. Instead, they have to rely on that whole team. So I would say that this is probably Torrey's game, but San Marcos, the opposite of what you said, that they can't afford a lot of losses, I think that they can afford all the learning experiences they want to take early in the season, because baseball playoffs, to me, are much less dependent on who's home field, who's playing away. Like, it's just a get us there. We'll play our best ball at the end of the season. Let's talk Mount Carmel at San Diego Academy. Mount Carmel currently 1-4, San Diego 4-1. But guys, early season people not quite at their spectrum. Tommy, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, again, you want to talk about a tough early schedule. Mount Carmel has that. They played some tough teams in the county, 1-4 as you mentioned. San Diego, though, 1-4. The only loss came 4-1. Excuse me. The only loss came to Great Oak, which is a big school out in Temecula. They've had some impressive wins, or some decent wins here in San Diego. Both teams are going to play 3 games this week, just like they're in the tournament. And SDA has a slightly easier schedule coming into the game. Probably means they'll have to use less pitchers, so they're going to have fresher arms. I think it's going to be tough for Mount Carmel this one.
Dave?
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. San Diego is right in the hot hand, so. Mount Carmel does a good job of putting the ball in play, and that might fare well against them. You got to make San Diego make some plays, and if Mount Carmel does a good job of putting the ball in play, I think they have a chance.
Completely agree. You look at the wins and the losses, a lot of close wins, including we had a game ball last week for San Diego walk-off, and Mount Carmel, not necessarily close losses, but still high scoring. So the offense is there for both sides. Mm-hmm. Will be really interesting to see, because we do start to look back on a season sometimes and be like, oh, hey, that was where they turned it around. That's where it started to happen. That's where, or on the other side, that's where we really knew that team was the real deal. Last game we're going to talk about, again, all of these games are happening this Friday. San Diego High School, the Cavers, as a school across the board, riding a record year. Yeah. Want to see if it can translate into baseball this year. They are going to be at Chula Vista. Guys, I mentioned it week 1. Don't be caught sleeping on Chula. And they have translated that into wins against UC and some other huge shutouts. And some very impressive team for me. So what do you make of this one?
Yeah, that win against UC was huge for them. They had lost to the same pitcher, numerous times. They finally beat him. Huge confidence boost for Chula Vista. They're playing with a lot more seniority this year, playing with a lot more guys that are leaders. Yeah, I wouldn't sleep on Chula Vista either.
And Chula also has beaten Saints and lost 1-0 to Parker. So They do it with fundamentals, defense, pitching, not a ton of flashiness on the offense. On the other side, the San Diego Cavers, Tommy, what do you got about them?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is going to be a tough game for San Diego. San Diego's coming into this game at 2-4. They've been tested a little bit early playing Montgomery Vista, not teams in our top 10, but teams that, have had the history of being good at baseball. They did beat Christian, which is a huge win because that's a team that we were looking at early in the season as potentially being a top 10 team, beat Mater Dei in extra innings. I still got a side here, though, with Chula Vista. They've looked really impressive early on. I didn't even see them coming. And
yeah,
really
no, I think that Chula just is a really interesting case of it'll be hard to put a team that's in a D3 through 5 in our top 10, but they, to me, will have the strongest case as the season goes on of, hey, look,
we're here.
We can play with the big boys. Like, I know we're not going to get our crack at Helix and RB and Eastlake, but hypothetically we could. And that's where we will debate this endlessly off camera and not bore you guys with it. We'll end with this. Let us know what's up. Send us your clips. Send us your strikeouts. I want to do 2 things by the end of this year. I want to crown the king of K. I want to get the nastiest. I want to figure out the nastiest out pitch, and to kind of tail off of Dave's dingers, I want to get the nastiest bat flip.
Ooh, can we make it even more? Yeah, it can't be a fastball though. Let's make that rule. It's got to be
for the out pitch.
For the nasty, if it's the nastiest out pitch, it needs to be a breaking ball.
No. Dave, maybe you could clarify in this, but would you say that Nolan Ryan's fastball was a nasty out pitch?
Yeah. What if you're throwing a cutter or something? That's like
I'll take a cutter.
Fastball.
No, I want the movement pitches, man.
Look,
those are the come on.
Throw it as hard as you can.
Moving fastball.
Throw it as hard as you can, straight by a dude, and just stare him down afterwards. That's a nasty out pitch. Maybe I'm just jealous because I never got to do that. Ever. I never had any sort of velocity.
And you want to know the name for the pitch.
So we gotta have a nickname for the pitch.
What is this, Rick Vaughn? Oh, it's the executioner. All right.
Or just a gyro ball.
Okay. This is the point where we just say thanks. We've lost all operational focus. Tweet us, Mr. CPED, David Ring, or
at David Ring 4.
At David Ring 4, at Real Tommy Morris. The show is SD Prep Insider. Send us your strikeouts. Send us your home runs. Send us your
breaking balls.
Your ground rule doubles, your infield flies. Send us whatever you want. We want to talk about baseball all week, every week here for San Diego Prep Insider. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.